That's pretty evil stuff. And now everybody knows it. But it's the end now, and they're taking over. Okay. Just for the record. 1990s, they're telling us what they were going to do to us back then. They had started the climate change cult, because they knew they were going to use these weapons to destroy us.
In an interview with the Los Angeles Times on April 21st, you said that you told the Associated Press that the American government has created weather tampering techniques so that the New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans and to control the rest. Would you explain what you were...
Did y'all hear what he said? Did you hear the question?
Question on the in an interview with the Los Angeles Times on April 21st, you said that you told the Associated Press that the American government has created weather tampering techniques so that the New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans and to control the rest. Would you explain what you were trying to say?
Well, what I was trying to say is exactly what I said. There is weather control techniques. We have a complete package on that, which I did not bring, but I certainly will see to it that it is brought in for the record. Number one, the entire patents on the equipment. Number two, Senator Claiborne Pell's complete statement and story of his own, that not only does it exist, that we even utilize it as far back as the Vietnam War. You might want to touch base with Senator Pell.
I just want to repeat before we turn to...
So yes, but we do have all that information.
You're saying the government has created weather tampering techniques so that the, quote, New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans
worldwide,
and to control the rest.
Yes, sir, and that's my belief. As bizarre as that sounds, if somebody had told me that equipment even existed 10 years ago, I would have thought they were nuts, sir. And at this point in time, we have all the documents to prove it. And if you think that 85 tornadoes takes place in the middle of our growing area by simultaneous accident, I'm sorry. With the equipment that's already set up internationally, and as bizarre as that is, it is proven and documented. We will supply you with those documents. As bizarre as that is, I would say that weather wars, and this is quoting actually Senator Claiborne Pell himself, that they are the greatest weapon ever created in the world, and that's the senator's own statement. So yes, I do stand on that.
Thank you.
So did you hear that? So the senator said...
Say that weather wars, and this is quoting actually Senator Claiborne Pell himself, that they are the greatest weapon ever created in the world, and that's the senator's own statement. So yes, I do stand on that.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No challenge poses a greater threat to future generations than climate change.
Our response is to increase the number and intensity of the extreme weather events and be wary we're going to use all the resources available to the government to do it.
I'm going to pause. Y'all know what a Freudian slip is? You know when people say what is really what's going on when they should have said something totally different? He just told you exactly what they're going to do in an erroneous kind of way. He didn't actually mean to, but he said exactly what they're doing. Let's listen again. Okay, ready? Listen very closely. Right here it's written out. Our response is to increase the number and intensity of these extreme weather events. That's what he said. Even though we know what you think he's supposed to really say, oh, we're going to respond to him, watch what he ends up saying. It's Freudian slip.
Than climate change.
Our response is to increase the number and intensity of the extreme weather events and be wary we're going to use all the resources available to the government to do it. Nobody can deny the impact of climate crisis. Nobody intelligent can deny. Our response is to increase the number and intensity of the extreme weather events.
The rest of North Carolina.
Okay, so I'm going to pause that. Okay, let me go back and let's redo that. Sorry about, I'm just going to let it play through. I won't interrupt. Watch this again.
The greatest weapon ever created in the world, and that's the senator's own statement. So yes, I do stand on that.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No challenge poses a greater threat to future generations than climate change.
Our response is to increase the number and intensity of the extreme weather events and be wary we're going to use all the resources available to the government to do it. Nobody can deny the impact of climate crisis. Nobody intelligent can deny.
I want to pause it there. Now, when Biden starts talking like that, I sat there and I've analyzed some of the way he speaks. When he talks like that, nobody intelligent person can deny. He just gave his whole hand away, dude. No intelligent person can deny that it's climate change. This intelligent person can. No, it's not. It's bullshit. It's weather modification being used as a weapon against everybody. That's what it is. So I'm an intelligent person. I can show you the Vatican's a snake. I can show you all the bombings in the United States are printed as images on U.S. currency notes that are in people's wallets. I've shown it to the world. I can show you the Vatican is a giant snake eating a bunch of angels in the form of a sheep. I can show you the system. So when Joe Biden sits there and goes, oh, no intelligent person can say, it's so obvious he's trying to front load you into believing, oh, see, we told you 20 years ago, climate change, and here it is. It's really us pressing buttons with our buddies because we own the government, we own the scientists, and we're the ones making the climate change. But see, it's so freaking stupid. They're a joke. They're a joke. Now, really, no intelligent person could argue with that. Here we go.
Our response is to increase the number and intensity of the extreme weather events and be wary we're going to use all the resources available to the government to do it. Nobody can deny the impact of climate crisis. Nobody intelligent can deny.
I can. I'm intelligent.
Our response is to increase the number and intensity of the extreme weather events.
The rest of North Carolina might not be so lucky, because if we're to believe thousands and thousands of posts from local citizens, it looks like there's no one there to help them. And according to this lady, things have become so desperate in the mountains of North Carolina that people are now resorting to looting in order to get food for their kids.
Here's number one. If you have friends or family that are headed into the mountains or who live there, the looting has picked up major steam. I was advised yesterday by a county sheriff to make sure that anybody out and about is carrying, and in his words, carrying with the safety off. There are very aggressive people out there, and I'm just going to go ahead and say this. It's not because they're necessarily awful. They're desperate. Desperate people do desperate things, y'all. And why are they desperate? Because there's no water in some of these communities. We have neighbors in North Carolina with no water. And all I can say is this: the government ain't coming to save you, not now, not ever, because they don't care about you, the people, anymore. It is the citizens who are going to have to step it up.
President Obama faces criticism from his opponents this morning for suggesting the world's greatest threat is not terrorism, but climate change. So we asked him to explain his comments during Wednesday's one-on-one interview at the White House. It is his first interview since returning from the Paris climate talks.
And you did say in the State of the Union that no challenge poses a greater threat to future generations than climate change. Do you mean that it's a greater threat than terrorism?
If you start seeing the oceans rise by 5, 6, 7 feet, if you see major shifts in weather patterns so that what have been previously bread baskets to the world suddenly can no longer grow food, then you're seeing the kind of crisis that we can't deal with through the deployment of the Marines. We can't deal with it through throwing money at it. What we know is that as human beings are placed under strain, then bad things happen. And if you look at world history, whenever people are desperate.
They're desperate. Desperate people do desperate things, y'all.
When people start lacking food, when people are not able to make a living or take care of their families, that's when ideologies arise that are dangerous.
Oh, I see. That's when ideologies arise that are dangerous. You see what's going on? It's such front-loading bullshit. Anyway, so now you can see it. It's out in the open. No kidding. Why don't you just